You must listen carefully in this season. Not everything that sounds sweet is sent from heaven. Not every word that wraps itself in concern is born of love. Some voices, clothed in familiarity, speak not from revelation, but from rivalry. And if you do not discern the spirit behind the speech, you will be deceived by the sound. There are phrases, comments, and questions that may seem casual.
Who does she think she is?
You're doing too much. Why can't you just be normal? She's changed. She thinks she's better now. These are not harmless statements. They are spiritual signals. They are warnings in the wind. They are coded language sent to assassinate your confidence, to chip away at your courage, and to plant seeds of self-doubt in the garden of your destiny. You see, when a woman begins to walk in her God-ordained identity, when she stops begging for approval and starts moving with authority, she will stir up every dormant insecurity around her. And jealousy will disguise itself as advice. It will come from friends who once supported you, from family who once celebrated you, and from mentors who once guided you. Do not be surprised when your rising provokes resentment. Purpose creates tension. Your light will expose shadows in others who have chosen comfort over calling. Your growth will remind some of their own stagnation. Your fire will threaten the lukewarm. But hear this. Do not shrink to soothe their discomfort. You were not born to fit into their limited expectations. You were born to fulfill divine intention. You carry the womb of purpose. You were created to birth visions, nations, and legacies. And jealousy is simply the enemy's desperate attempt to abort what heaven has already scheduled to be delivered. When they say, you've changed, don't apologize. Say, yes, I've evolved. When they say, you're too much, respond, then I'm not for you. When they whisper, she thinks she's somebody, remind them, I am a daughter of the King. Jealousy is loud, but destiny is louder. Jealousy is reactive, but purpose is prophetic. Do not waste your anointing explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding your elevation. Let them talk, your fruit will speak. Let them gossip, your growth will testify. Let them doubt, your destiny is already decided. And remember, those who are truly assigned to your life will celebrate your expansion, not compete with it. They will honor your voice, not silence it. They will water your dreams, not mock them. Jealousy is admiration corrupted by insecurity. At its core, jealousy is not born from hatred. It originates from unacknowledged admiration. A person sees something beautiful, powerful, or purposeful in you, and rather than celebrate it, they wrestle with the fact that it reflects what they have not become. The very thing they attack in you is often the thing they secretly wish they possess. But because insecurity clouds their heart, admiration becomes twisted. Instead of saying, I see your greatness and I honor it, they say, who do you think you are? When someone is secure in their own identity, your success inspires them. But when they are unsure of their own value, your growth intimidates them. That intimidation mutates into resentment. They begin to criticize your confidence, question your motives, and undermine your progress. Not because you've done something wrong, but because your presence forces them to confront their own sense of inadequacy. They want what you carry, but don't know how to access it. So instead of pursuing their own development, they attempt to diminish yours. This is why jealousy is so dangerous. It is subtle. It hides behind compliments laced with comparison. It masquerades as concern, but speaks in tones of judgment. And often it is found closest to you, not in strangers, because those who admire you most, but refuse to deal with their own inner lack, are the most prone to allow that admiration to rot into jealousy. They watch you shine, but instead of letting your light guide them, they let it blind them. What began as inspiration turns into irritation. What started as silent praise becomes hidden sabotage. The admiration was never the problem. It's the insecurity that poisoned it. Jealousy, then, is a distorted reflection of unspoken awe wrapped in the fear of inadequacy. The presence of jealousy is proof of distinction. No one envies what is common. Jealousy does not target the ordinary, the average, or the easily replicated. It zeroes in on what stands out, what is set apart, what cannot be duplicated. When people see a woman walking confidently in her identity, carrying herself with quiet strength and divine clarity, it awakens something in them. Either they are inspired to rise or they are provoked to resent. But make no mistake, their jealousy is not a reflection of your weakness. It is confirmation of your uniqueness. Jealousy is attracted to distinction because distinction demands attention. When you carry vision, when you operate in excellence, when you rise above mediocrity, you disturb environments that are comfortable with complacency. Your life becomes a mirror that reveals what others have neglected, forgotten, or buried within themselves. Instead of facing that reflection and growing, they turn their eyes on you, and resentment is born. Not because you harmed them, but because you reminded them of their own untapped potential. You must understand that jealousy is often the applause of the intimidated. It is a silent confession that you are doing something right. Your ideas, your voice, your presence, your resilience, it all points to a mark of distinction that cannot be ignored. People do not throw stones at what blends in. They target what stands out. So when you encounter jealousy, recognize it as evidence. Evidence that you are becoming who God called you to be. Evidence that your light is shining in dark places. Evidence that heaven has placed something rare within you. Distinction draws both favor and friction. But never let friction fool you into thinking you're unworthy. It's the opposite. You are not being attacked because you're flawed. You're being noticed because you're different. A jealous tongue often disguises itself as counsel. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't confront directly. It cloaks itself in concern. I'm just trying to help you, it says, while subtly planting seeds of doubt and insecurity. What sounds like wisdom may actually be sabotage wrapped in soft words, because jealousy rarely comes announcing itself. It moves through familiar voices, trusted relationships, and well-intentioned tones, offering guidance that sounds helpful but is laced with hidden motives. Jealousy doesn't always oppose you with open resistance. It often seeks to slow you down by misdirecting your steps. It will tell you to wait, not because the timing is wrong, but because your progress threatens someone else's comfort. It will say, don't dream so big, not because your vision is flawed, but because your vision exposes their fear. And the danger is, if you're not spiritually discerning, you will start shrinking under the weight of someone else's insecurity disguised as advice. A jealous heart cannot celebrate what it secretly competes with. So instead of applauding your growth, it critiques it. Instead of affirming your purpose, it questions your motives. It might come through a friend, a colleague, or even someone you admire. That's why discernment is critical. You must test the spirit behind the words. Does the counsel push you toward purpose or pull you into passivity? Does it affirm your identity or erode your confidence? Not all counsel is godly. Not all advice is clean. And not every voice that sounds wise is sent by God. Some are sent to keep you confined, controlled, and confused. But when you know who you are, you can separate divine direction from disguised jealousy. Be slow to absorb counsel, especially when it contradicts your calling, because some tongues advise not to help, but to hinder. When a woman walks in purpose, she will provoke both favor and friction. Her alignment with destiny activates heaven's support and earth's resistance. Purpose is not passive. It carries weight, authority, and impact. And when a woman steps fully into who God created her to be, her very existence becomes disruptive to environments that have grown comfortable with dysfunction. Her voice unsettles silence. Her vision threats stagnation. Her strength exposes weakness that has long been hidden under the veil of control. Favor will follow her because she is in sync with divine timing. Doors will open. Resources will come and opportunities will align, not because she's chasing them, but because she's walking in obedience. Purpose attracts provision. It summons the right people, the right seasons, and the right platforms. But while favor surrounds her, friction will rise as well, not because she's wrong, but because she's right. Her progress will offend those who've chosen to settle. Her confidence will irritate those who benefit from her insecurity, and her transformation will challenge those who once had power over her. You must understand, purpose carries a presence. It speaks before you open your mouth. It shifts atmospheres when you walk into the room. It makes insecure people nervous, not because you've harmed them, but because your light reveals their shadows. And often, the resistance won't come from enemies far away. It will come from those who once celebrated you, but can no longer contain you. But this is not a sign to retreat. It's confirmation to press forward. Favor is God's affirmation. Friction is hell's reaction. When both show up, it means you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So don't be surprised when your calling stirs controversy. A woman in purpose is a woman on assignment, and both heaven and earth take notice when she walks. Jealousy is a spirit that attacks identity. It doesn't just aim to wound feelings. It aims to dismantle confidence, distort vision, and uproot purpose. Jealousy is not satisfied with watching you doubt your gift. It wants you to forget you ever had one. It comes subtly, whispering lies that sound like your own thoughts. It questions your value, mocks your progress, and magnifies your flaws, all while disguising itself as introspection. But its true agenda is to make you shrink into a version of yourself that is easier for others to tolerate. This spirit targets the core of who you are, because it knows identity is the foundation of destiny. If you don't know who you are, you won't know what belongs to you. And if you doubt your identity, you will forfeit your authority. Jealousy uses comparison as a weapon, pulling your eyes away from your own assignment and fixing them on someone else's journey. It wants you to believe that you are behind, lacking, or inadequate, when in truth, you are simply unique. It thrives in environments of insecurity and silence, where purpose is undeclared and self-worth is unguarded. It uses voices, sometimes even close ones, to chip away at the truth of your calling. Why her and not me becomes why me at all. And slowly, the woman who once walked in confidence now second guesses her every step. That is the true aim of jealousy, not admiration gone wrong, but identity under attack. But you must remember, your identity is not negotiable. It was spoken by the Creator before you were ever seen by the crowd. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted with intention, and chosen for impact. The spirit of jealousy fears this truth, because once you know who you are, no voice can unmake what God has already declared. Kingdom women threaten insecure systems, not because they intend to rebel, but because their presence alone challenges the very foundations of control, fear, and limitation. A woman who knows her identity in Christ, who walks in purpose, speaks with wisdom, and lives with conviction, is a disruption to environments built on silence and submission. She does not need to raise her voice to make a statement. Her very being becomes a contradiction to systems that depend on her ignorance, her compliance, or her brokenness. Insecure systems, whether in families, churches, workplaces, or cultures, are not intimidated by talent. They are intimidated by authority. They can handle gifted women as long as they remain unaware of their power. But when a woman begins to align her gifts with kingdom purpose, when she stops asking for permission to be who she already is, when she begins to speak with the voice of heaven rather than the approval of man, that's when the shaking begins. The systems were never built to support wholeness in a woman. They thrive when she doubts herself, when she competes with other women, when she hides her brilliance behind humility, misunderstood as smallness, But kingdom women expose these lies by walking in truth. Their presence brings clarity, and that clarity confronts structures rooted in deception. So instead of celebrating her rise, insecure systems label her as difficult, rebellious, or too ambitious. But the truth is, they fear what she carries. Because when a kingdom woman stands in her authority, she redefines the atmosphere. She elevates the standard. She releases freedom. She brings heaven's order to earth. And anything not built on truth will tremble at her steps. She is not a threat because she destroys. She's a threat because she builds. And what she builds cannot be controlled, only aligned. Systems can either adapt to her presence or crumble under the weight of her purpose. And when people speak against you out of jealousy, it's often a signal to go deeper, not shrink smaller. Jealousy, especially when expressed through criticism, slander, or passive resistance, is rarely about who you are. It's about what you represent. Your growth reminds others of their complacency. Your clarity confronts their confusion. Your boldness exposes their hesitation. And instead of being inspired, they choose to be irritated. They use their words to try to reduce you to a size that feels manageable to them. But you must not internalize their own insecurity as your inadequacy. When jealousy speaks, it's not always speaking to you. It's speaking from within them. It reveals the inner conflict they feel about their own unpursued purpose. And in their attempt to bring you down, they are unknowingly confirming that you are rising. Their resistance is a mirror reflecting your movement. This is not the time to retreat. This is the time to dig deeper into your calling, to pray more fervently, to study more diligently, to walk more boldly. You are not meant to dilute your presence to make others comfortable. You were never designed to live a life of apology. You were called to occupy, to expand, to establish. And when jealousy shows up, it's often heaven's way of highlighting that you're headed in the right direction. So don't let their words shrink your vision. Don't let their opinions rewrite your identity. Go deeper into your purpose, your preparation, your posture before God. The higher you go, the more the atmosphere will shift. And yes, some people will fall away, but they were never assigned to where you're going. They were only witnesses to where you started. Let their jealousy push you, not paralyze you. Let it confirm that your presence has weight and your destiny has already been set. So hear me now and hear me well. Jealousy is not your enemy. It is your confirmation. It is the evidence that something about you is stirring the atmosphere, that your light is shining in places where shadows once ruled, that your presence carries a divine assignment too great to go unnoticed. When the voices rise, when the whispers start, when the critiques come cloaked in false concern, don't you dare shrink, don't you apologize. Don't you lower your standard to fit the comfort of those who fear your calling. You were never created to blend in. You were born to stand out. And with that distinction comes both favor and friction. Let them talk, because every word they speak against you is a testimony that you are doing something worth noticing. Let them watch, because every step you take in obedience is a step further into your God-ordained destiny. Kingdom women are not intimidated by insecure systems. They dismantle them. You are a builder, a breaker of cycles, a carrier of light. And no jealous tongue, no manipulative spirit, no disguised counsel can cancel what heaven has already written over your life. So go forth, not in fear, but in fire. Let their jealousy fuel your focus. Let their resistance refine your resolve. Because in the end, the same mouths that mock you now will have no choice but to witness the fulfillment of what God promised you. Walk tall, speak boldly, live fully. You are not here to please the insecure. You are here to fulfill the impossible.